Yes, 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 yes. Thank God it's Friday. It is what it is, big man say. It's all about What's Your Opinion show. Every Friday on this channel, we don't dull, we don't mess up. We always here. God's willing, we always here. It's been a fantastic week, I tell you. Please, if you are watching this for the first time, I tell you, let me tell you what to do. Come on, straight up. Please subscribe to the channel. That's another way to help the community. Just do like this. Subscribe, like the videos, and share. Let's share, let's share. It's good in sharing. I tell you, your main man is here. They call me the Don. The Don of Sport Entertainment. Let's do this. It's gonna be massive, I tell you. You know the topic. You all guys, you're gonna name your top 5 center backs of all time in APL. I'm talking about English Premier League. The best 5. I have in the studio already. Fantastic gentlemen. Brother from another mother. Oh my goodness. Fantastic brother. Sexy brothers. Looking good brothers. Professor Tuker's in the building. I tell you, he's a Chelsea fan. No doubt about it. Come for life in the building. In the building. Oh my goodness, I almost said Chelsea fan. No, it's not a Chelsea fan. A Liverpool fan to the core. Irate! Baddest nigga is in the building. Good bad guys in the building. Let's do this. Don't mess around, please. As I've said, please subscribe to the channel. I'm bringing it down right now. Let's go into it straight up. Professor Tuker, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, we're too good to go. Professor Tuker, talk to me. Up for life. Are you in the building?
Can you hear me?
Yes, my brother. In the building.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Irate, what's going on there? I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, the Dawn.
Hey,
Doing
what's
good,
going on,
doing
bro?
good, doing good.
Yeah,
We're all
we are-
set
All
for
right.
this wonderful topic today.
All right, let's go for it, bro. Good to see you guys. You know the show. It's called What's Your Opinion Show. Please subscribe to the channel, gentlemen. Let's go into it. I'm going to start with you, Club. No, I won't start with Cup for Life yet. He has a gimmicks of starting, So, Professor Tuchel, go for it. You want to talk about the best, of all time. I'm talking about center backs. Not this kind of center back we are having at this moment. I'm not talking about Maguire right now. I'm talking about real center backs. No,
Yeah.
no, I'm not disrespecting him. He's a fantastic gentleman, but you know what I'm saying. Now, what's your opinion? I mean, go for it. I'm starting with you, Professor Tuchel.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I rate Cup for Life, the Dawn. It's good to be here again. I've always been a strong admirer of the art of defending. You know, talking about when you talk about Steve Bruce to Vincent Company to Tony Adams. So it's going to be interesting today to hear everybody's opinion on the greatest Premier League centre backs of all time, with as little bias as possible. So for me, my top 5. I'll start with number 5. I think I have to go for Sol. I think I have to go for Sol Campbell.
So Campbell.
Sol Campbell of Arsenal.
I'm writing it down right away.
Yeah, he had made a lot of appearances, 503 appearances, 20 goals, 154 clean sheets. He left Spurs to Arsenal, to win titles, and he did it. Very, very strong, solid centre back. There's not a lot better than him in the history of the Premier League. If you look at his stats and his record and how he coasted Arsenal, also helped Arsenal to the title when he moved over. That's for Sol Campbell. Quickly, because of time. My number 4, the next best. My number 4 best defender, greatest defender, Premier League defender of all time for me. I would call Virgil van Dijk there. I think Virgil van Dijk is one of the smartest defenders to ever play the game. Very, very calm and patient. Most times we speak about strikers having the ice cold. in their finishing. But when you look at Van Dijk, you can also say that it's very, very. It has that sort of coolness, calmness in the way he defends as well. Although he blossomed very, very late, like he got to his peak quite late, not very late, but quite late. But it must be very relevant in the conversation.
How old is he now?
I think he must be 30. If I'm not, I don't know. The Liverpool fans will know better than me, but I think it's about 30 years now.
30 years old.
30 or 31. I'm not sure. So yeah. So and
I think he's 30 right now.
No, 30. All right.
Okay. Yeah. So when you look at the way his contribution for the way he led Liverpool to the title, 18-19. I think he came to Liverpool in the year 18-19 season from Southampton, and the way he just changed the history of that club with the way he defends is so beautiful to watch. It almost feels like you can't get past him. It has reads the game very, very well. So led Liverpool to their first title in 30 years, their first Premier League 30 years. So you can't such impact on the team can be overemphasized. So yeah, for me, Virgil van Dijk comes in the number 4 position. Number 3 for me will be Tony Adams. Tony Adams of Arsenal, the great Tony Adams. One of the he had 255 appearances with 12 goals and 115 clean sheets. One of the most consistent defenders of all time. Tony Adams. I didn't watch a lot of him, but I read about him. He played for 2 managers. The old school manager and George Graham. I read a lot about George Graham and Arsene Wenger. So for a defender to be able to cope with 2, George Graham was used to the old style of football, and we all know how Wenger plays the game. So for Tony Adams to be able to adjust and to the playing style of both managers, I think it deserves a lot of accolades. It won titles in 3 different decades. I think he's the only defender ever to do that, to win titles in 3 different decades. Wenger called him Professor of Defense. So Tony Adams for me has to come in at the 3rd position. And number 2, in the 2nd position for me is Rio Ferdinand of Man United. Rio Ferdinand for me, what can I say about Ferdinand? One of the best centre backs ever, with a lot of titles to show, 6 Premier League titles. For me, when I look at Ferdinand and I watch some of his clips back, I watched Ferdinand play very well. But when you remember Ferdinand, you remember him. You think of a defender that can fit in easily to the style of the modern day play, and you look at Ferdinand and he's just going to slot him easily into the way the game is played these days. Ferdinand knows how to carry the ball from the back, with a lot of poise, with confidence. So Scholes said it was one of the best centre backs he's ever played with. So for me, Ferdinand is a great defender. 189 clean sheets, 504 appearances, and 11 goals. So for me, Rio Ferdinand comes in and he's got a lot of titles as well. Comes in as the second position. Yeah. For me, the greatest ever defender to play the game in Premier League is John Terry.
Wow, massive.
John Terry. John Terry with 492 appearances. John Terry has the highest goal scorer. John Terry is the highest scoring defender in the history of the game with 41 goals in the history of Premier League. He also has the most clean sheets in the history of Premier League with 224 clean sheets. Without a shadow of doubt, he's the greatest Premier League centre back for me. We only said he's the toughest player he's ever played against. For me, there's no defender that reached the game better than him, because if you remember, Terry wasn't blessed with so much pace with the likes of Ferdinand and Van Dijk. So he used his brain more than his legs, and that's what stands him out. Very big and good in hair, powerful, physical. Is well respected by the world. Is the world at large. He was named in the UEFA Team of the Year for 4 different times. He won the Premier League 5 times. And we have to remember, if we talk about John Terry, we have to remember the 2004-05 season where he conceded just 15 goals. I still say it to tomorrow. That's a record I feel can never ever be broken. With 15 miserly goals conceded with John Terry at the heart of it. And then to come back after 2004-05 season, 10 years later, 2014-15 season, when people thought he was finished under Jose Mourinho, and played every single minute of every game to coast to the title, just shows you what kind of player he is. He had a lot of issues off the field, and for that reason, people tend to mix it up together. He wasn't the greatest off the field, with the racism issues and all that. But when you talk about on the pitch, I don't think he look past John Terry, puts his head where no other defender wants to put their head. So for me, and then it's for John Terry. What can I say about it? It's just I can go on and on about him, but for me, that's my top five. So
Yes. That's massive. And you said about So Campbell, that's number 5. Van Dijk, your number 4. That's Professor Tuchel talking about his top 5. It's number 3 is Tony Adams, and Ferdinand is number 2. While John Terry is the best of them all for Professor Tuchel. Is that the same thing for Cup for Life? Over to you, Cup for Life.
My brother, it's a good time to be on the show. It's a good time to be amongst you all, your presence, your knowledge, your expertise. Always a pleasure and a privilege to be amongst you guys. But I have to say that's not my top 5. And I wasn't expecting to give it in that order, in the sense that, say, these are my top 5. In the sense that, okay, 5 to 1. I just want to talk about 5 great defenders. I don't think it would be fair to put them in any particular order, because I think that they are all exceptional in their own. One thing they all have in common is this: they've all won the league.
Wow.
So if they have never won the league, there are some great defenders that never won the league. And there are some honorable mentions like Ledley King. To me, Ledley King was a fantastic defender for Tottenham. But that being said, he didn't win the league. You can talk about people like Jamie Carragher. They never won the league. Kolo Toure, did he win the league? I think he won the league with Arsenal, didn't he? I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, he won the league.
He won the league with Arsenal, right? You have other people like Marcel Desailly, wonderful defender in his time. There are great defenders out there that didn't win the league, and some even won the league that don't make my list, like Jaap Stam. He didn't make my team. But anyway, I'm going to, and one more honorary mention that didn't make my team and should have, but he doesn't, is the great Steve Bruce. He doesn't make my team. But anyway, to my top 5. And in no particular order. I don't think it's fair for me to put them in any particular order because of this particular man. He is still playing today, and that is Virgil van Dijk. For me, Virgil van Dijk is the best defender of his generation. He has the calmness, the composure of the old school defenders, the likes of the Baresis, the Costa Cutas. He's got just that good understanding of how to play the game, and I think that's the one thing that can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right,
sure.
So that's the one thing that impresses me about him. But one other attribute that he has that great defenders have is this: they're never dirty at the end of the game. Why? That's because of their ability to read the game at the best, at the highest level. They don't do last-minute dives into tackles. When you see defenders diving in at the end, last-minute tackles, it's because they've not read the game well. Players that you see that do things like that were people like Micah Richards. Anyhow, this is not to name and shame. The point is to name my own top 5. So Virgil van Dijk won the league, has won everything in the game. Great understanding of the game. A right footer playing on the left side of defense. Wonderful talent. Virgil van Dijk is one of my top 5 picks. Then moving on to number 4, my fourth, the 4 others, I would say another one that makes my top 5 list, and again, not in any particular order. A massive captain, a proper captain of a football club, understands the meaning of the word captain. Decisive goals at decisive games, beginning of what started to happen at Manchester City. To me, that is Vincent Kompany.
Wow.
You cannot deny that Vincent Kompany changed Manchester City's history. To me, he was the epitome of that side when they won the league with his header in the last minute that he scored that goal. I mean, wonderful player, never got dirty on the floor, read the game brilliantly, not the most blessed with pace, but just had a fantastic understanding of the game. Wonderful player, Vincent Kompany. And again, let's not forget Vincent Kompany started playing football from a very early age, 17, 18. He was named as a wonder kid. and later on went through his entire career. Colorful career, wonderful player. Vincent Kompany makes my top 5. Another player that makes my top 5, and it would be another great captain, another fantastic captain. And again, my top 5, all of the players that are left in my top 5 are all fans. All my 5 are, in my opinion, great captains. Again, Virgil van Dijk is the Netherlands captain. To me, should have been given the Liverpool's captaincy by now, but Henderson is just what Henderson stands for. Anyhow, so the third pick of my top 5 is another wonderful captain, and that is John Terry.
Wow.
John Terry is an amazing captain. Again, another player that I keep saying this, he never got dirty. Very rarely. In his early days, you see him dive into tackles, but it was a right footer playing on the left side of the defense. And he did that in an amazing way. He said it that when he joined Chelsea, he had the likes of Desai, Galas, all these players playing ahead of him. And he realized the easiest way to get into the team was to get better with his left foot to be able to influence the game from the left side of the defense. And he did that, and he did that incredibly well. Towards the end of his career, he read the game so well, you just could not... he went on to captain, for me, after Dennis Wise, he became captain of Chelsea, and a fantastic defender, great header of the ball, fantastic goal scorer, just an impressive player all around. I think, to me, one of, perhaps, maybe another show we talk about captains. For me, one of the most influential captains that ever played the game. And that's, I think he was a great captain, and you just cannot imagine how well his career would have gone. So, without a doubt, makes my top 5. I've got 2 more players.
Yeah.
And I'm going to surprise you with these 2 players. And because from a Liverpool fan to say these 2 players, it means that he's completely unbiased and has to give it to these 2 players. But I'll talk about them one by one. For me, one of them is Rio Ferdinand.
Wow, massive.
Great respect for this man. Started off his career at West Ham, went to Leeds United, went to Manchester United after that. Wonderful captain, great player, understood the game. To me, his understanding of the game and the fact that defenders knew that you are going to play against a guy who was going to give you a tough game. You are going to always get a tough game out of this guy. Not because he was physically aggressive or anything. He was just a player that understood that, he knew when he needed to come short. He didn't expose himself. He was blessed with pace, but he didn't expose himself. He knew where to kind of guide you with the ball. Something that Virgil van Dijk has learned a lot about that from him. Where to kind of usher you on the pitch to the point where you are not dangerous anymore. And that was what Rio Ferdinand did so well. But then again, he had some great teachers at West Ham. He went to Leeds and he learned the game properly there. He learned the game at Leeds. He understood that. Huge credit to Rio's development goes to Lucas Radebe. Lucas Radebe was somebody that was at Leeds at the time, pretty much took Rio on and taught Rio the game. And then he went to Manchester United. When he was at Manchester United, you had the likes of Steve Bruce, Gary Pallister coming towards the end of their career. And I think they were still figures around the club at the time, and they were there showing Rio what needed to be done. So again, great player for me, Rio Ferdinand. Last but not the least, and again, strangely, I am torn because there are 2 players that don't make my list here. And that's not because I do not think that they're great defenders. One is Sol Campbell. He doesn't make my list, and that hurts me slightly. Another one that doesn't make my list is the great Tony Adams. Great captain, fantastic player, but I cannot look beyond another Manchester United defender in the Premier League, given what Manchester United have done in the Premier League, the number of titles they've won, the influence that Nemanja Vidic had. Nemanja Vidic has to be in my top 5. Great defender, wonderful talent. When you're about to play him, you know that his physicality, you are going to go to the other defender. You're not going to come near him. He's one of those type of defenders that you are coming with the ball, you look up, you see Vidic, you are just going to go to the other defender. you just know that Nemanja Vidic is going to give you a tough time. So for me, I would say that Nemanja Vidic completes my top 5. I am slightly pained that I've given you 2 Manchester United defenders, but at the same time, if we are being unbiased, those 5 players in Vidic, Company, Van Dijk, Terry, and Rio are without a doubt the 5 best defenders that ever played in the English Premier League. And, that's again testament to, in my opinion, 3 great managers in Ferguson, a great manager who understood the game, the most decorated manager in the Premier League's history, and then another one in Jose Mourinho, great manager, understood the game so well, learned his trade under the great Bobby Robson. And finally, today, what Jurgen Klopp is doing is incredible. Jurgen Klopp is doing a great job, and Jurgen Klopp to me will probably is unfortunate at the time of this time that he's managing, at the time that Pep Guardiola is here. But at the same time, massive credit to mainly Ferguson and Mourinho, because their history, what they've done in the game, is reflected in 3 of the 5 defenders I've put here. So those are my top 5, and interested to know what your thoughts and opinions are. Always a pleasure to be here, guys.
All right, bro. For Cup for Life, that's massive. I'm coming to you straight up. Irate. This sound is for you. Irate, all the way from New Jersey. Now talk to me, bro.
Hey, Don.
Yes.
It's good to be here as always. Very good to be here.
All right.
Also, it's good to have Professor Tuchel listening to the analysis, and also Cup for Life. It's a great time and good engagement. So I'll go straight to my top 5 centre backs of all time, and I'll have to say the names that have been mentioned are all fantastic defenders. Very, very good centre halves. Even though it might have been different times or different generations, they were all good in their own rights as a defender. So there are a couple of fantastic centre backs that didn't make my list, which I'll just give honorable mentions to them to acknowledge their impact in the game in the Premier League. So one of them, I'll mention a few like Jap Stam, Sol Campbell, Ricardo Carvalho, Sami Upia, Ledley King, Nemanja Vidic. I mean, I could mention a whole lot of defenders that could also have made the top 5 for any Premier League follower. So now I'll go in straight to my top 5, and in order, I'll start with number 5. In number 5, I have former Arsenal captain Tony Adams.
Wow, Tony Adams, wonderful centre back. I mean, considering I think he was at Arsenal for about 2 decades. I think he is ever present at the back. Is tall, brave, physical, committed defender. Known for his leadership, aerial prowess, ability to read the game very well. So he excelled under Wenger, winning 3 Premier League titles. He also won the FA Cup 3 times, and also 2-time League Cup winner. So great leadership ability, fantastic, aggressive, known for his aerial prowess. Tony Adams was almost I would say close to being a very, very perfect centre half, if there is any. For that's what Tony Adams represented to Arsenal Football Club. Number 1, I will go with the legendary Vincent Kompany. Is it
number 4?
Number 4.
All right, number 4.
Yes, number 4.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this man is is I mean, we can talk about the crucial goals he scored. But there's one thing I want to point out is ability to lead, and the fact that it was one of the very first buys of, I think, after Robinho. I'm not sure, or like in the year after, when the Abu Dhabi group took over Manchester City. From day one, he has at least put a foot wrong
Hmm.
for Manchester City. He's one of the best defenders in football. Is very physical, very intelligent, has good technique, an accurate tackler, great positional sense. And earlier on in his career, he even played as a defensive midfielder. So
Yeah.
it's all round. Vincent Company is magnificent. Is a wonderful, wonderful centre half. I mean, most strikers don't want to go up against him. And even when Pep came in and there were doubts whether it would fit into Pep's system, I mean, Pep had to find a place for him in his team because his
Hmm.
leadership qualities and ability is second to none. Is unquestionable. So for me, Vincent Company also won many honors. He won 4 Premier League titles,
Yeah.
two
For
FA
Premier.
Cups, and the EFL Cup 4 times. He has also made several Team of the Years. So uh, Vincent Company for me, number 4, very well deserved. In number 3,
Number 3. Yes.
I would have the immaculate Virgil van Dijk.
Hey. Yeah. Ah.
I mean,
Ah.
like you can see, there's a word that is used to describe him in the display right here. You know, you can see the word colossus. That
Yeah.
word is one word you can use to describe Virgil van Dijk. I mean, where do I start from? We are talking about a Liverpool team that will always be remembered as a Liverpool before Virgil van Dijk and a Liverpool after Virgil van Dijk, to show you the impact he has made in that team. When he was bought for 75 million, many eyebrows were raised if he was going to live up to the billing, and if it was worth the money. But I mean, no one can even doubt just any part of that money not being well spent.
Hmm.
So Virgil van Dijk, aerial prowess. For me, I don't even need to start listing. I I I rarely see any weaknesses in his game, and he has been described by also professional players like Michael Owen called him for him the best centre back of all time. As a one-off, is for him is the best centre back. We've heard the likes of Paolo Maldini also describing him as a great and the current best centre back in football right now. So when you mention honors, you know, he has been runner-up in Ballon d'Or. He remains the only defender to win the UEFA Men's Player of the Year. You know, been in the Premier League Team of the Season 3 times. He's been in the Champions League Team of the Season 3 times. I mean, you really can't start to mention all he has achieved with this with the club since he joined. I mean, Liverpool without Van Dijk will never be the same. We saw that the season before the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the impact he has had on Liverpool is very, 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 very massive one. So I'll have him in number 3.
Number 3.
Um,
Number 2.
Number 2, I would go for Rio Ferdinand.
Wow.
Rio Ferdinand. And I would say Rio Ferdinand was one of the pioneers of, I mean, in the Premier League era, one of the pioneers of being classy, and one of the pioneers of centre halves playing accurate passes and bringing the ball out from the back. Wonderful, wonderful defender. Very, very brilliant and intelligent. And when it comes to positional sense, when it comes to marking, is very elegant, is known for his technical ability and skill. Very confident on the ball, Rio Ferdinand, and also a leader. Um, Many would say, oh, he played with physical centre halves like for England with Terry and also club side with Vidic. But I would say, without his leadership ability and
Mm.
positional sense, I don't think Man United would have achieved all they did in the Premier League. So he won 6 league titles. He won the Champions League, won the League Cup twice, and other numerous individual awards. So for me, I'll have Rio Ferdinand in the second position. And
Number one.
last but not the least, I know someone is going to be very happy with my number one pick, but it's hard. I know someone is joyful right now, but I mean it's hard to go against what this man has achieved. I mean, John Terry I'll start with his longevity. He did it for several years. Several years. It's not just about 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons. All the title winning teams he has been in, John Terry has played a massive impact. Massive impact. So I mean, is known for being a commander, no nonsense style of player. John Terry will put his head where other players would not. That is
Absolutely.
that is I mean
Absolutely.
how even I mean when they talk about Terry, that is how many even professional and ex-professionals talk about him. He will put his head where other defenders would not. Very aggressive, tall defender, excellent in the air, good in both boxes, defending corners, scoring them. I mean, he's not particularly fast, but he has great positional sense. And in his peak, he was regarded as one of the best defenders to ever grace the game. And I also remember in I think 2003, he won the PFA Players Player of the Year. So I mean, so many individual awards combined with winning the Premier League 5 times. He won the FA Cup 5 times as well. Won the League Cup 3 times, the Champions League, the Europa League as well in 12-13. Numerous trophies, numerous individual honors. For me, John Terry, for his leadership skills and his ball playing, I would defending ability. I wouldn't say much ball playing, but defending ability. John Terry for me is the greatest defender to ever grace the Premier League. So, those are my top five. Like I said, some other players, Vidic, Cavao, very great defenders in their own right. Jaap Stam, Steve Bruce, but I think it wasn't an easy pick because of these other players. But I would say this top five for me are the best top five ever in Premier League history.
All right. Now let's do this. I have three players. You guys have spoken about. I'm talking about three good players that three of you have mentioned, and they've been fantastic. So we are going to decide which one of them carries the day. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. We want to see, out of these three players you guys have mentioned, we are talking about Van Dijk, John Terry, and Rio Ferdinand. So from you, Professor Tuchel, starting from you, which one of them do you think, carries the day, the best out of three?
Yeah, just like we've alluded to throughout the show, I think there's no doubt it has to be John Terry. Very very brave. Like my co-host have said, like it's very very brave. It's hard to see a defender is as brave as he is. And like I said, he comes up with the goals. It's very difficult when John Terry has 44 goals for a defender to chip in with very very important goals in very important moments like that. And we can speak so highly about his defensive abilities as well. There's really nothing this man cannot do on the defensive side of the pitch. So for me, I think he has the day. John Terry has the day for me.
All right, John Terry for Professor Tuchel, John Terry. Now over to you, Come for Life. Which one? We just have to pick one person for our viewers to see. Which one do you go for, Come for Life?
Well, so you asked me a tough question there. And I didn't grade them in any order before. But you're asking me to put them in order. That's a tough one. If I'm going to put them in order, and which one of those three?
Yeah.
For me, I'll go very quickly. Rio Ferdinand comes... Actually, no. I'll do it like this. For me, in third place is John Terry.
Wow. Controversy.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm telling you this. And then in
right.
number two, for me, I'm even going to make it even more controversial. Number 2 for me is
Modaro.
the great Rio, and the greatest of them is the main man himself,
Van
Virgil
Dijk.
van Dijk.
Lord
And I
of
know it
mercy.
is, and I know that is controversial, and I know everybody will think that is mad, but I'm telling you this now. Virgil van Dijk, without a doubt, is the most feared defender that played the game in the Premier League. Simple. Over to you.
Over to me. Voila.
Call for life.
All right. I know somebody wants to counter you. He says he wants to speak about Van Dijk, but I'm going to ask Irate first. Who are you going to pick out of these 3? Come on, Irate. Let me bribe you.
Oh
Over
my
to you,
God. I
Irate.
mean, yes, I mean, it's always good to have a bit of controversy. So, we can always have a lot to debate and talk about. So, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, like I mentioned, all of these defenders, we can make a case for them to be number 1. For me, if I'm to these 3 center backs right here, Van Dijk, Terry, and Ferdinand, I would say one thing that goes against Van Dijk is the fact that he's a late bloomer, number 1. He didn't start as early as Terry and Ferdinand, and he wasn't known early on in his career. Also, he has not been in the Premier League as long as Terry and Ferdinand. I mean, especially with Liverpool. I know he had a couple of years with Southampton, so he wasn't with the top team until he came to Liverpool. So I think the thing that goes against him is the longevity in the Premier League so far. But I not just me, even other ex-professional players and pundits. I mean, I've seen it firsthand. Defenders facing Van Dijk, strikers facing Van Dijk, and they tend to go the other way, or they go back. So I mean, his tall is you one on one. In 18-19 season, he went an entire season, 38 games without being dribbled past once in 38 games in the Premier League. No other defender has achieved that anywhere in the world. So, but I would say the fact that Terry and Ferdinand won more titles than Virgil, I would put both of them above Virgil van Dijk. And for me, between both of them, I would go for John Terry, because I feel Terry was
Wow.
more of an all-rounder, and he was also stayed longer in the game than Ferdinand. So yes, I would go for John Terry over Ferdinand and Van Dijk.
John Terry. Professor Tuka, you said you want to say something about Van Dijk.
Yeah. So please, I want everybody to listen, because I have a little bit of they might call it a conspiracy theory, but it's a theory, and I have been following this argument about the top defenders in the Premier League history, and I've read a lot about it and watched a lot of videos. And some people have, me personally, I put Van Dijk in my top 5. I don't have a problem, but there's a consensus that Van Dijk is playing in an era where the Premier League lacks good strikers, and the best strikers in the Premier League are playing for Van Dijk's team in Salah and Mane. So I'll quickly run you through a list of, in the late 90s, we had strikers like Michael Owen, Dwight York, Anelka banging goals left and right, Asenbank, Alan Shearer, Viduka, Thierry Henry, Van Nistelrooy. Please let these names spark. Please remember these people when I'm mentioning their names. Yeah, and then we've got the late mid 2005. We had Van Nistelrooy, Darren Bates, Robbie Kane, Frank Lampard was up there banging goals. Didier Drogba, Cristiano Ronaldo at his prime, Fernando Torres, Adebayo. These players, Darren Bent, Carlos Tevez, were banging. There's a shift in the Premier League now. Luis Suarez, Gareth Bale on his prime, Sergio Aguero in his prime. Now, when Van Dijk got there in 17-18, the season Van Dijk 18-19, sorry, the highest goal scorers in the league at the time was Mo Salah and Sadio Mane with 22 goals. They played for Van Dijk's team. We all know that Pep doesn't play with a striker. We all know that Chelsea hasn't had a striker since Diego Costa's reign and Didier Drogba. Same thing for Man United. They've not had a potent striker. There's a saying that Van Dijk has not faced the best strikers in Premier League, and it's correct for me. The best strikers play for Virgil van Dijk, and Virgil van Dijk has not been exposed enough. So for some people, they don't even regard him. They don't rate him to be in their top five. To be honest, they don't rate him to, because there is a massive downgrade in the quality of strikers in Premier League, and without a shadow of doubt, I just backed them up. I just backed it up with my stats here. Without a shadow of doubt, the best strikers play for Liverpool. So Virgil van Dijk has not been exposed to the great strikers in Premier League history. And these players, these other players that we rate above him, they faced them and they conquered. So Virgil van Dijk has some long way to go to be rated for me as part of the best, the greatest at the top level. Yeah, that's my argument.
All right, Cup for Life. Do you agree with that? Chip in. Do you agree with that? Cup for Life. Saying
So
Van
it's
Dijk.
a
Well, you know.
yeah, it's an interesting point. Honestly, I think you can look at this from many angles. So for me, when I said Virgil van Dijk is the greatest defender of all times in the Premier League history, of course, I'm sure you guys know that was said tongue in cheek. Where it's somebody has to stir up the environment and create some sort of feedback and back and forth from the whole team. But that being said, one thing you have to understand is this: you're only as good as who's been put in front of you. This notion that Virgil van Dijk has not been tested by great defenders is the same argument that I hear people say when they talk about Pele, that there were no good defenders in Pele's time. Saying that, okay, well, Maradona had the best defenders, and therefore Maradona is a greater player than Pele. Well, I'm sorry, the reality of it is simple. You can only play with what's put in front of you. If there were no great defenders in the days of Pele, that's not Pele's fault. So it's the same thing as we are saying now that Van Dijk, there were no good strikers in Van Dijk's time, or all the great strikers played for Van Dijk's team. I think that's slightly disrespectful of the talent of Virgil van Dijk. You forget that not only is he look at this season, for example, where if you look at the Champions League, for example, I would say that probably everybody will agree that the most potent striker in the Champions League this season has been the Real Madrid striker. The Real Madrid striker is Benzema. Benzema is a great player, but Benzema did not score a goal against Liverpool this season. So you can make all kinds of arguments around who is a better. I think to kind of rate them in any kind of order is going to always create some kind of what is right and what is wrong, and who should rightly be number one or number two or number three. I don't think we should. I personally didn't do that because I didn't want to be disrespectful to any of their talents. I think some of them will play well in some teams, some of them will not play well in some teams. So it's difficult to tell. For me, Virgil van Dijk is a great defender, and I don't think the players that he's played with or against should belittle what he has done. That's one. And two, I can't tell you that one is better than the other out of the five of them. I'd say all five of them were great defenders. And those three that all three of us have mentioned, were the three game changers of their generation, all three of them, in Rio Ferdinand, in John Terry, and in Virgil van Dijk. Three great players. You'll be lucky to have played with any of the three of them. And that's as simple as it is.
All right, fantastic. Do we now go for this right now that John Terry happens to be the best? Do we agree?
Yeah.
Before we go into that, I think I have something to say about what Professor Tuchel said about Van Dijk not facing great strikers. Football is all about eras and generations. So, nowadays we talk about Man United under Ferguson winning the league with 86 points. Nowadays, you need to get to 90s to even get a chance of winning the Premier League title. Also, we are talking about teams who score outrageous numbers of goals without using top nines, like target man strikers, the likes of what Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp are doing. So when you talk about scoring goals, nowadays it's not just the strikers. You expect the wingers, the attacking midfielders, to also chip in a couple of goals as well. Kind of just share the goals around the team. So I mean, Van Dijk is not going to see De Bruyne and look at him like, oh, De Bruyne is not a striker, so I probably don't need to mark him right, or he's always a goal threat, even though he's not a striker. And these players are getting numbers season in, season out, over 100 goals for, is it 3 or 4 seasons now? So it's all about eras, it's all about generations. Right now, the best strikers in the world, for me, have all faced Van Dijk, all of them, at one point or another. Erling Haaland, Robert Lewandowski, Harry Kane, Karim Benzema, mention these strikers, Mbappe, Neymar, they've all faced Van Dijk at one point or another in the last couple of years. Sergio Aguero. So, I mean, for me, the fact that he has come up against these guys and he has held his place, he never looked out of place against any of them, is it shows that, I mean, I don't think any other striker like the likes of Asu Bank and the names you mentioned, I mean, not to disrespect them, would have gotten much out of him either, for me. So that should not take the shine of Virgil van Dijk. Is a great defender, and for me, as a one-off, for me, is the greatest centre back I've seen that has played the game as a one-off. So but in this situation, like I said, longevity and other things to consider, I would agree that John Terry right now is the number one greatest defender in Premier League history.
So we all want to go down with John Terry at the moment. So, guys, thank you. It's been a fantastic show. Is anybody want to put up anything before we wrap up the show? Come for life, Professor Tuchel, Eric. We all settled down for John Terry. Up Chelsea!
Yes, I will agree reluctantly that John Terry is the greatest defender.
Go for life. You don't agree with Prof. You don't have to agree
reluctantly.
Up Chelsea!
Alternatively, to me,
even for me, it's a bit hard to say, but
I will agree reluctantly. The alternative should be Johnny Evans.
Or Harry Maguire.
Harry Maguire.
John O'Shea.
John O'Shea.
Oh no, Wes Brown. Wes Brown.
Fantastic, guys. It's been fantastic. We all settled down for John Terry of Chelsea.
Well done, JT.
It is what it is. Professor Tuchel, please, could you tell us what do you feel about John Terry before we wrap up? That's your best player for now.
I'm very excited.
Chelsea.
I'm very excited that my co-hosts have come to the conclusion that John Terry is the greatest centre back of all time in Premier League. I mean, he deserves that award. To be honest, when you look at this man, when you watch him, you can only just watch him with so much awe. So I'm so excited. I'm so excited. My fellow Liverpool people that can agree that John Terry is the greatest. I'm excited.
You hear that?
I have a question for Prof. Tuchel.
Up Chelsea!
I have a question for Prof. Tuchel. So, Prof, in right now in your Chelsea team, if you have been honest with yourself, deep within you, would you rather have Van Dijk or JT in this Chelsea team, this current?
I'm sorry, I rate you know already. It's a no-brainer for me. It has to be John Terry now. It's a no-brainer. It has to be John Terry. You know what?
Tell them.
It has to be John Terry. I'm sorry. No shadow of doubt. It's John Terry. I'll have. That's
no buts.
Yeah, okay. No boss, no issues. John Terry.
All right, thank you so much, guys. It's
Or
been a
or
fantastic
or we
time.
have Dejan Lovren.
No, no, like no way, no way. Love it.
Oh my goodness. All right, guys. Thank you so much, man. It's been a fantastic weekend.
Yeah.
It's what's your opinion? Is the show? It is what it is. We're gonna wrap up the show right now. Professor Tugo, I'm signing you out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Cup for life. Thank you so much. One love, bro.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Always a pleasure.
All right, Irate. Wonderful. Baddest good bad guy. Thank you so much,
Thank
Irate.
you so much, Don. Great to be here. Look forward to the show next week.
Next week. All right. Thank you so much, Irate. And the winner of the center backs of all time in Premiership, from coming up from our studio, Intercontinental Sport TV. We pick John Terry of Chelsea.